What if the greatest composer who ever lived lost the one thing he needed most? Not fame, not love, not wealth. Sound. Before the Ninth Symphony shook Europe, before Ode to Joy became humanity's anthem, Ludwig van Beethoven was confronting something unthinkable: the slow erasure of the world around him. It did not begin with silence. It began with distortion. A thin metallic ringing hovering at the edge of perception. A vibration beneath every note he played. A presence that did not belong to the room. At first, he dismissed it. Musicians live inside resonance. Echoes are common. Phantom reverberations are normal. But this was different. It followed him from rehearsal halls to aristocratic salons to the fragile stillness before sleep. And gradually, the distortion grew stronger, while everything else grew distant. Voices blurred, laughter fractured, high notes faded into air. His own music began slipping beyond reach. For a composer, this was not inconvenience. It was extinction. Long before Vienna, long before revolution. There was Bonn. Beethoven was born in 1770 into discipline, not delicacy. No glittering courts, no miracle tours like Mozart. His father, Johann, was ambitious and unstable. He saw in his son not childhood, but opportunity. Lessons began before dawn. Practice stretched until tears. Neighbors remembered a small boy standing on a stool to reach the keyboard. Music was not play. It was pressure. And pressure, applied relentlessly, does one of two things. It crushes, or it forges. Beethoven was forged, but forging leaves fractures, and fractures under strain widen. In his early 20s, Beethoven arrived in Vienna, the city of refinement, the city of Haydn, the city still haunted by Mozart's shadow. He studied briefly with Joseph Haydn, but he was not obedient. He argued, improvised violently, disrupted expectations. Aristocrats leaned forward in shock when he played. He was not charming, he was volcanic. Patrons funded him cautiously. They admired the genius. They feared the temperament. And behind the brilliance, the ringing returned. Stronger, persistent. By 26, the truth became undeniable. He was going deaf. Not temporarily, not partially, irreversibly. In 1802, he retreated to a village called Heiligenstadt, seeking quiet, seeking recovery. Instead, he found clarity. There, he wrote a letter to his brothers, not for publication, not for performance, a confession. History would later call it the Heiligenstadt Testament. In it, he admitted humiliation, isolation, the unbearable shame of pretending to hear. He described avoiding social gatherings because he could not trust conversation. He confessed something darker. He had considered ending his life. "I would have ended my life," he wrote. "It was only my art that held me back." Imagine that moment. A composer choosing to live not for comfort, not for reputation, but because there was still music inside him that the world had not yet heard. That decision changed history. But survival demanded reinvention. If the outer world of sound was fading, he would build an inner one. The Third Symphony, originally dedicated to Napoleon Bonaparte, Beethoven admired him at first, a symbol of liberty and revolution. But when Napoleon crowned himself emperor, Beethoven exploded. He tore the dedication page apart, scratched the name violently from the manuscript. The symphony would no longer honor a tyrant. It would honor an idea. The Eroica shattered expectations. longer than anything before it, emotionally explosive, unapologetically grand. Audiences were confused, critics unsettled. But something had shifted. Beethoven was no longer composing for salons. He was composing for the future. Then came 4 notes, short, 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 long, the Fifth Symphony. Often described as fate knocking at the door. But what door? The door of mortality? The door of deafness? Or the door of defiance? Those 4 notes are relentless, insistent, like the ringing in his ears. He took suffering and turned it into architecture, anxiety into rhythm, isolation into thunder. The world began calling him revolutionary. But privately, his life was tightening into solitude. He fell in love repeatedly, always beyond reach, always with women from higher social classes. Unattainable. In 1812, he wrote to an immortal beloved, passionate, unrestrained. The letter was never sent. Her identity remains uncertain. Like many of his deepest emotions, it remained unheard. Friends struggled to communicate with him. Conversation books replaced dialogue. He grew suspicious, irritable. Not because he hated people, but because he was losing access to them. Silence isolates, not just physically, emotionally. And then came family turmoil. After his brother's death, Beethoven fought bitterly for custody of his nephew Karl. He believed he could shape the boy into greatness, perhaps correct his own childhood, but pressure suffocates. In 1826, Karl attempted suicide. He survived. Beethoven was shattered. The irony was brutal. The man who transformed pain into symphonies could not prevent it inside his own home. And as his world fractured, his hearing nearly gone, he began composing something impossible. By the 1820s, Beethoven was almost completely deaf. No applause, no orchestra tuning, no whispered criticism from Vienna's elite. Silence had fully arrived. And yet, the music inside him expanded. Themes unfolded in total clarity. Entire movements formed without a single external sound. He no longer relied on hearing, he relied on vision, structure, imagination. And then he dared something unprecedented. A symphony with voices. The Symphony No. 9. For centuries, symphonies were purely instrumental. Now he would insert the human voice itself. A choir. A declaration. He chose Friedrich Schiller's poem, Ode to Joy. A hymn to unity, to brotherhood, to shared humanity. Written by a man who could barely hear conversation. How does someone cut off from sound compose the loudest celebration of unity in history? That question hung in the air. Until May 7, 1824. Vienna, the Kärntnertor Theater. The hall was full. Aristocrats, students, soldiers, citizens. They sensed something unusual, but they did not yet understand what they were about to witness. Beethoven insisted on conducting. The orchestra hesitated. He could not hear them, but no one dared refuse. The first movement began, dark, uncertain, like the emergence of something ancient. Strings trembled, brass rose, tension coiled. He conducted not by sound, but by memory, by internal rhythm, by instinct carved over decades. Movement after movement unfolded. Then, the final movement began. Low strings murmured, as if rejecting everything that came before. Searching, refusing, until suddenly, a baritone voice pierced the texture. "O Freunde, nicht diese Töne." "Oh friends, not these sounds." The orchestra exploded into brilliance. The choir rose. "Ode to Joy." It was no longer composition. It was eruption, a cathedral constructed in real time. The audience gripped their seats. Some wept. Some stared in disbelief. Some felt something they could not explain. On stage, Beethoven heard none of it. He continued conducting, slightly behind the orchestra, lost inside the structure only he could see. The final chord crashed down. Silence. Half a breath. Then, detonation. Applause. Shouts. Handkerchiefs waving. 5 standing ovations. An honor usually reserved for royalty. But Beethoven did not turn. He kept conducting, still inside his silent universe, until a soprano stepped forward, gently touched his sleeve, and turned him toward the audience. He saw them, thousands standing, clapping, crying, shouting. He could not hear their gratitude, but he saw it, and in that moment, the silence lost. It was the last time he would appear publicly in triumph. His health declined, illness followed illness, and in March 1827, Vienna gathered once more, this time not for music, but for farewell. Tens of thousands followed his coffin. The same society that once found him difficult, now marched in reverence. Thunder reportedly rolled across the sky as he was laid to rest. Legend says he raised his fist toward the storm. Whether myth or truth, it feels fitting. Because Beethoven did not defeat silence, he entered it and built something so vast inside it that silence could no longer contain him. We often imagine genius as light, as ease, as divine inspiration flowing effortlessly. But sometimes, genius is resistance. Sometimes it is a man alone in a room, unable to hear the world, forcing the world to hear him. Beethoven lost his hearing, but he expanded what humanity could hear. And every time Ode to Joy rises, in concert halls, in celebrations, in moments of unity, the silence trembles. Because once, a man refused to disappear inside it, and the sound he built there still echoes 2 centuries later. If you want to uncover the hidden lives behind immortal melodies, welcome to the Muse Chronicles. Subscribe and step with us into the silence where legends are forged.